Let's just call it out. Gardening on the internet looks exhausting. Now, gorgeous, oh, for sure, but also wildly unrealistic for most of us. So let's just get one thing straight. I am not trying to be your next homesteading guru with acres of raised beds and endless afternoons to weed or water. Oh, come on now, you know the type. The homesteads where every post looks staged for Instagram. One hand holding a basket of heirloom tomatoes, the other hand cradling a bubbling jar of sourdough starter. And somewhere in the background, there's a husband named Ezekiel building her a greenhouse out of reclaimed barnwood. But hey, I'm happy for her, truly. But over here, we're doing things a lot more realistically, with a system that fits into real life. You know, the kind where you have a non-YouTube job, a family, and maybe even a questionable attention span? Actually, that's me. Hi, I'm Cassandra. I work full-time, I've got a husband, a family that keeps me on my toes, and a schedule that doesn't exactly scream farm life. Now, I already know what you may be thinking, because I used to think that way too. That's a garden, you've got to have a green thumb, lots of free time, perfect soil, enough space to park a tractor. But honestly, that's a myth I proved wrong years ago, because I actually live in a home with zero land, a townhouse, and somehow I managed to grow and harvest real food with zero acreage, no tractor, not even a shed, multiple pounds of it every single week. Before you roll your eyes and think, okay, she's probably some master gardener with a degree in soil chemistry. No. I'm a regular person who learned how to grow things the lazy way. No, not like lazy I don't care, but lazy like I actually care a lot, but I also have other stuff to do. I'm already tired, and my back, neck, and knees hurt sometimes, okay? But I still want a win in the food department without needing to become a full-time farmer. And that right there is the problem, because a lot of us have been sold a story that to garden you have to have land, time, and money, and maybe even a degree in regenerative agriculture. Except it's not true, because you can be a beginner, and you can be busy, or you could live on a third-floor walk-up and still grow food that blows grocery store produce out of the water. Now, this is not about aesthetics, it's about practicality. So if you've ever thought, oh, I can't garden because of insert excuse, I'm here to burn that list and hand you a basket. Okay, friends, so I tried to get out here early to film this morning, but you know how that goes. I'm going to be talking a lot in this video, and between the plane noise, my neighbors down here getting their roof redone, and the sun, it's going to be a lot. I just don't think that it's going to be audio friendly, so I'm just going to step inside. Trust me, your ears will thank you. Whew, yeah, this is much better. Okay, so let's get back to what we were talking about, how I garden the lazy way. 2 words. Vertical planters. But not just any stack and pray setup. I'm talking about GreenStalks. And before you think, oh, here she is getting ready to hype up another gardening gadget. No, I have been using GreenStalks for years, paid for by my own money. And unlike a lot of other generic planters, this thing actually holds up and produces. But here's the part that stops people in their tracks. A fully planted 5-tier GreenStalk holds about 30 to 42 plants and only takes up 2 square feet. To grow that same number of plants in the ground, you need a garden bed that's at least 15 to 20 feet. So in terms of space to yield ratio, I'm actually doing better than some backyard setups. So yeah, I used to think that I needed land to be a serious gardener, but there is a downside to doing all this. Because now my husband's like, if you're doing all this on a deck, do we even need a full acre when we move? Yes, of course, but that does tell you that the math is mathin'. So let me tell you why it actually works in real life. First, you don't have to be a tool wizard. There are no screws, no building frame, no warped wood. These are modular, stackable planters that are ready to go. Each tier is designed to support everything from delicate herbs to full-size fruiting vegetables. Yes, I'm talking about tomatoes, eggplants, strawberries, potatoes, even broccoli and cabbage if you want to get wild. And you do not have to be Tim the Tool Man's wife. You can absolutely set this up yourself, girlfriend. Bless. The instructions are short and they include actual pictures. I had mine out of the box and stacked on my deck before my coffee cooled. Now this part, it makes me a little emotional. Each GreenStalk comes with a built-in watering system that waters from the top. All you do is fill the top water reservoir and it filters water down through each tier using internal drainage holes. Gravity handles the rest, without you standing there with a hose like it's your full-time job. You don't have to guess if the bottom tier is dry. It's designed to distribute evenly. You can even add a timer to automate the whole thing. I've walked away for a week in the summer and come back to thriving plants. Once the bottom tier has gotten enough water, excess will run into the base and will slowly drain out of the drainage tube. Third, this is a garden that is accessible physically and logistically. Okay, so let's talk comfort, because if you've got knee pain or back issues or a short fuse for crawling in the dirt, this is your planter. It sits on a planter base and you can add wheels. You don't have to bend, stretch, or tiptoe along the back row. You can just spin it and you can stack it to your comfort level. 3, 5, 7, whatever's comfortable for your reach and space. So I've just shared how this garden moves with you, but I also mean that quite literally and seasonally. So before GreenStalk, I had mix-match pots everywhere. They stain the deck, they hog the floor space, and they turn watering into a full body workout. Now I just unlock the wheels and roll it to chase the sun or get some shade. And yes, I leave my planters out year round. If this is our first time meeting, hi, I'm Cassandra from the blog becomingafarmgirl.com. And I'm here to help you live a farm fresh life without land or livestock. You can click the QR code on the screen or the link in the description to take $10 off your GreenStalk purchase. Now, yes, I do know that other vertical planters exist. There are other vertical planters at hardware stores that kind of look like GreenStalks. And I am not going to knock you if you try one, but for me, I'm not even curious because here's the difference. GreenStalk is not just another gardening product from a big box brand. It's a family-owned company based in Tennessee that's been focused on one thing for over a decade: making the smartest vertical gardening system possible for real gardeners. GreenStalk is not chasing trends. They are not out here quickly producing molds and calling it innovation. They are 10 toes down on serving gardeners, and you feel that every step of the way. Look, you and I have seen too many garden startups come and go. They have flashy ads, they pop up with a product that looks like something you know, they make a quick buck, and then poof, a season or two later, they're gone. Good luck getting replacement parts. Good luck finding community. And that is honestly why I'm not even tempted with copycats. If you've got questions and you call GreenStalk's customer service, you're not talking to AI or navigating some annoying phone tree. You are talking to a real person who knows what a tear pocket is. Their shipping is fast. Their packaging is so thoughtful. And my number one reason for sticking exclusively with GreenStalk is that integrity is built into their design. All of the accessories that they've released, their spinner bases, their plant supports, their trellises, are compatible with their original planters that were designed a decade ago. Did you catch the value of that? What I'm saying is that regardless of whether you buy a GreenStalk today or you've had one from 7 years ago, you can still upgrade and accessorize without tossing out the whole thing. And as a consumer, that's really valuable because a lot of companies don't treat you that way. So it's kind of like your cell phone where if it's too old, even though it works, they just stop supporting the older models. GreenStalk isn't doing that. And so I love seeing that as I have scaled my garden over the years. I think I started with one planter, then I got 2 more, and then I got like 1 more. And so it's really been this journey of scaling up to what I have now. And I was able to do that and had confidence in their product suite and offering because everything that they were coming out with that was new was still designed to fit my planter. And I'm telling you, but you already know this because you're likely experiencing this yourself, that kind of integrity is hard to find in companies. And that is what makes me trust them. So when it comes to quality, consistency, community, and trust, GreenStalk is in a league of its own. And it's a gardening decision that I have never second guessed. Built-in irrigation and adjustable height and mobility or the same capacity. GreenStalk is the one that actually checks every box. You no longer need land or perfect knees. You just need a setup that respects your time and gives you a harvest worth bragging about. And that just speaks to the quality because these planters are food grade and UV resistant. They're built to live outdoors year round, so you can overwinter your perennials in them or just pop a frost cover over it. I mean, it's been 6 years where I've been showing you the same herb planter. She starts to die down late fall and comes back early spring. The same herbs over and over and over. And I love that because I have nurtured the soil in all of my planters, and when we eventually move, I can take all of it with me. So now that I've shown you why the lazy way works, let me show you why it's worth it. Now hear me loud and clear. I am not saying that this replaces traditional in-the-ground gardening if you have the time, the energy, and the space for one. Because after people realize, oh, you can grow food in this thing, they often wonder, oh, is it worth it? The only person I've ever heard of with a true green thumb was that kid Jack and his infamous beanstalk. You and I are mere mortals, and we can not just throw seeds in the ground, walk away, come back, and boom, instant harvest. Right? Like the rest of us are gonna need some type of infrastructure, and you can choose between pots, beds, buckets. So gardening, no matter how you do it, isn't free because you're not just planting seeds, but you're battling weather and pests and other critters that want a free salad bar. So for example, let's say that you want to garden the traditional way. And so one raised bed, just the frame, can cost you $100 to $250. And then there's the soil. After a couple of bags could easily run you $100. And there's also the compost, the mulch, your irrigation, your stakes, your trellises, anything related to pest control. And let's not forget your time. Okay, and for all that, you will get, oh yes, a 4x8 patch of dirt that still requires hours of hands-on care each week. Okay, so now let's look at the GreenStalk. For under $200, especially if you catch one of their BOGO sales, you get a complete vertical system that holds 30 to 42 plants depending on your tier. No tools, no kneeling, no weeding. It comes with a built-in watering system. You can add a spinner base with wheels and boom, done. And when you do that math, the cost per plant is ridiculously low. And unlike raised beds, you don't need to add new soil every year or replace the frame when it warps. These planters last. And what about your time? That's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Watering 10 pots every day, that's time. Fighting weeds in a ground bed, hauling supplies back and forth from the car, more time. And honestly, just exhausting. With the GreenStalk, I water once and I'm done. I spend everything to monitor and harvest. Done. I now spend less time maintaining and more time harvesting, cooking, and preserving what I grow. Now look, when I started gardening, I wasn't trying to full throttle live off the land. I just wanted a little bit more control over the food that was coming into my kitchen and to hopefully experience better food and better flavor. And what I didn't expect is how these planters would shift how I think about my food, time, and honestly, myself. And it's little things like I don't even plan meals the same way anymore. So now I'll just go out to the garden and I'll say, I need to harvest this. So what can I make with this? And now cooking it's seasonal, it's satisfying, and it's simple. There truly is something about snipping herbs that you grew yourself or tossing together a salad that you harvested just minutes ago. And I think that's because when you grow food, even a little, you start to cook with more intention. You waste less, you flavor more boldly, you start infusing oils, drying herbs, freeze chopped greens for dinner. You start realizing, oh, I'm the pantry now. And on hard days, having a GreenStalk garden is it's therapy. It grounds me. It gives me a wind. It reminds me that growth doesn't have to be dramatic to be meaningful. When life feels out of control, you realize you've got basil on the deck, strawberries ripening, dinner half grown before you've even boiled water. So why do I have a GreenStalk garden? Because it's practical and it works. Because it fits a real schedule for real people with real other priorities. And you know what I think? That gardening this way isn't about becoming someone else. It's about supporting who you already are. You do not need a greenhouse or even a backyard. You just need a little space, a little sun, and a willingness to try. So if you've been waiting for the right time to start gardening or for your life to get a little less chaotic, don't. That's right, start right where you are. Stack it up, water it once, and see what happens. Because this lazy method is growing so much food. I've even got a GreenStalk playlist that goes deeper into everything I've mentioned today. From setting up your first tower to my weekly spring and summer harvest to maximizing each tier, I'll show you how to get more out of it. So click the video on your screen to get more GreenStalk gardening and inspiration. I'll see you in my kitchen or garden soon. Take care, friends.